All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to GESARA's monthly general membership meeting. My name is Taylor Cello, and I am the president of GESARA. I'm also joined by a couple of our executive members here, which I'll be happy to introduce in a moment. But for the time being, I'm so excited to have us all here tonight to talk about what we mean by the Husky Advantage. As we all know, we're all Huskies, a part of one pack here in the EDD program, and those of you who are joining us from other grad programs as well, who are members of GESARA. And so we're here to unpack tonight how you have so many benefits as a Northeastern college student at the end of the day that you might not have known that you had. So we have Lindley Hummel, who's the head of Global Campus Outreach and Online Learning from the Northeastern University Library, joining us tonight. She'll be talking about that access to the library and what that means for us as students in terms of those benefits. And then kind of tag teaming, it'll be me and the vice president of GESARA, Jennifer Miller, and I will be taking on the second half to talk a little bit about what it means to be a Northeastern student and what other, benefits that you do have beyond the library as well. That could definitely benefit you all because we love saving money. So if we can do that through being students, why not, right? So without further ado, we'll get started. So before I introduce Lindley, just a couple of things to note here. We have our executive board for GESARA shown here, and we actually just participated recently in a conference, the Northeastern Rise Undergraduate Research Conference, that is now expanded to a more graduate level conference as well. So it's kind of spreading across the university, and we got to, inaugurally be a part of that, which is awesome. So we're paving the way for EDD students to be a part of that in the future. So stay tuned for that. And this was actually the slide that we showed. And I was like, you know what? Let's give a little more background on who we are beyond like our studies and what we do professionally. So for those of you who might not have known, I am the president of GESARA, like I mentioned. Professionally, I work on the Boston campus at Northeastern University as a senior undergraduate academic advisor for their College of Engineering. And I'm part of the class of 2027 in terms of the EDD program. We're also excited to have along with us, besides me tonight, we also have Chris Vo, who's our program director. So, Chris, you want to say hello to everyone real quick?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone. Sorry, I just woke up from a nap today, as you know, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that very s small nap. I'm an English professor all the way in California, so I teach Victorian literature. I also run dual enrollment at the community college that I work at, so I handle our partnership with a bunch of the local high schools and also some high schools that are not so local, so up and down the state. And I am up to defend my dissertation sometime, I don't know, like next month or something like that. We'll see. We will see. And I want to pass it on to Chung.
Awesome. Thanks, Chung. And thank you, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. I'm Chung. I am just Sarah's communications director. So I handle all things social media and uh, graphics for our social media as well. And I currently work at Northeastern as well, but at the Oakland campus, formerly Mills College. So I'm based in the Bay Area. And yeah, I will be graduating in 2029. I'm on the 4-year track. I just wrapped up R2 last quarter, so still early in my EDD journey, but excited to see you all tonight. Is that everyone for now that I
Yeah,
see?
so
Okay.
far, and I know that Jen will be joining us very soon as well. So, here in spirit, though, we do have Jen Miller, Alyssa Thomas, and Randell, who are our other fearless leaders on the executive board team. And we also have the pleasure of having Dr. Andy Anderson on here, who is our, we like to fondly name him our Gesara dad because he's our faculty advisor for our graduate organization. But Andy, you want to tell a little bit more about what you do for the EDD program as well?
Yeah, of course. Yes. So thank you so much, my just our children. I appreciate that introduction. So my name is Andy Anderson. By day, I'm a principal of a middle school in Barrington, Rhode Island. I feel like all other parts of my day, and during that time, I'm also a professor, the EDD program, the Northeastern. I teach currently in the R4 series class, and then as well as I advise a number of students through the dissertation process. So I'm happy to be here and support.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then without further ado, we have Lindley Hommel, who is from the Northeast University Library. And just to kind of give a snapshot of her contact information, because she also is a big supporter of us, in accessing research tools through the library. For those of us who are in dissertation mode or literature review mode, she's a wonderful resource to have. And I just have a little bit of a blurb up here too, to give a little sneak preview of what she's going to be showing us tonight in terms of the different things that we have access to just from the library alone. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing. That way Lindley can. And I'm going to hand it over to Lindley.
All right, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with you all and to see so many familiar faces. I'm going to share my screen because everything that I am talking about tonight you can find on the library website. I also have it in a little handout with links that I'll share after my presentation so you have easy access to everything I talk about. But I'm kind of going to share sort of three groupings of information. So the first are kind of recreational reading and watching. So if you want to read some fiction, catch up on the news, maybe it's related to your dissertation, maybe not. One thing that you have a lot of access to are newspapers and magazines. So if you're on the library website at library.northeastern.edu and you go to the Find and Borrow heading up at the top, click on the far left column, popular magazine and newspaper subscriptions. So these include things like, as you're seeing here, The Atlantic, we have the Chronicle of Higher Education, we just got the Boston Globe, we just sent the announcement out yesterday, Chronicle of Higher Education, Education Week. Any of these, if you click on the link, it will either give you direct access to our subscription, or as you'll see in some of these, you need to register with your Northeastern email address. For a lot of the ones that you need to register with, you can then sign up for their newsletters, their subscriptions, and kind of get that right to your Northeastern email address. But you have access to a ton of popular periodicals from all around the country and actually the world. And so that's not something that everybody is aware of. And so I definitely encourage you to take advantage of that access through your library account. If you go to the databases tab right on the home page, you can also get access to newspaper subscriptions another way. So if you go to the types drop-down menu here and choose news and newspapers, and search. You'll also get access to not just those popular single newspapers and magazines that I just mentioned, but also collections of newspapers. So Access World News is our biggest collection of newspapers, including ones that were not mentioned on that page I just showed. But one that I specifically wanted to call out is called Press Reader. So if you go to the P's, you can get to that pretty quickly. This one's really great because it has online access to today's newspapers and typically going back about 2 weeks from over 100 countries around the world. So if you are planning on traveling somewhere and you kind of want to see the news in that area, or maybe you live or were born in another country and want to keep up with the news there, you can get access to that through Press Reader. Like you'll see in the directions here, you just register with your email. They have an app as well, so it's really easy to read on the go. So those are some of the sort of newspaper resources I wanted to make you aware of. If you, again, go to that database list and by type, choose ebook collections and run your search. Just like the newspapers, you'll see all the databases that have those ebook subscriptions, but I want to go to O here for Overdrive. If I have any public library fans in the group, you may have heard of Overdrive because it's typically an ebook and audiobook collection that public libraries have, but Northeastern has our own Overdrive subscription. And so the nice thing here is that we have a much smaller population of people than most public libraries have. So the wait lists are much shorter. So I get on the wait list for like the Boston Public Library and Northeastern and where I live. So you can have kind of multiple libraries signed in on your phone through the Libby app as well. We do a monthly reading challenge. And so you'll always see that promoted in Overdrive. You can kind of submit what you're reading for a chance to earn prizes. But these are all ebooks and e-audiobooks that you can download to your phone through the Libby app or an iPad, so it's great for commuting. But we have a lot of popular high interest fiction and nonfiction. And if you have suggestions for this collection, you're welcome to pass them to me and I can send them to the person who buys for this. But this is sort of an unusual thing for university libraries to have, but we're happy to have it and to encourage some leisure reading. And it's one of our collections that's actually available to alumni as well. So your access to this will not be cut off after you graduate. And the kind of final fun leisure piece, if we go back to the databases list, and this time from types, go to video and search. We have a lot of streaming media collections as well. So Canopy is one of the ones that has a lot of popular films. So you'll see things from HBO and others. These are typically provided because a faculty member requested it for viewing for their class, but as long as it's on the Canopy service and available to you, you can, watch it as well. So they get kind of turned on at faculty request, but then you can visit the collection that's currently available. There's also, the Good Docs collection and all sorts of digital theater. So a lot of other video and streaming collections for both academic and sort of leisure enjoyment. I'll pivot to the research support. Some of these things you may be aware of, some you might not, and it's always just good to highlight them. So first is interlibrary loan. This is what you would use if there's ever an article or an ebook or something that the library doesn't have that you need. So don't hit those paywalls and pay for an article. Go to that interlibrary loan link, log into your account. You'll use your Northeastern username and password, and then you can submit requests for articles and book chapters, which can be delivered electronically. You can submit a request for a whole book when you sign up for your Iliad account. If you indicate that you're an online student, that will trigger the interlibrary loan team to try to purchase an ebook version of that for you. If they're not able to do that, then they can do those chapter requests, which can be fulfilled as PDFs. These are really quick, so article requests typically take 1 to 2 business days. So it's always worth submitting that request to see if we can get that for you from another institution so you don't have to pay for it. Again, on the library homepage, if you go to citations and bibliographies here, we do provide support for EndNote, RefWorks, Zotero, and Mendeley, which are 4 different citation management products. If you haven't used one of these software tools yet, they essentially allow you to gather your research information all in one place and then connect to either Google Docs or Word to create API citations, both in text and for your reference list. In terms of the support that's provided, you'll see here on the homepage that you can make an appointment with a librarian from our citation management team. So you can just choose the time of that you're available or your preference, or you can select a specific librarian, and you can meet with them to troubleshoot or get started with any of those programs. We also have webinars that are recorded. So we offered some live earlier this spring. And then they have the recordings available to you here as well at any time. So we have a lot of kind of choose your own adventure content, and you can also get that help if you need it to follow up with any of the team there. Another service are our research data services team, and you may or may not have interacted with the folks here. So depending on your needs, you might not interact with everybody, but they offer support for data management plans, data analysis and programming, data visualization. So if including things like how to put together an effective poster or visual. So if you were thinking about presenting your research at a conference and you need help with a poster, that's a team you can reach out to for tips and help and strategies. They also do GIS and text analysis. So depending on what you're working with, you can kind of click the one that's most applicable to you. You'll go to their guide and their contact information, and you can schedule one-on-one appointments with folks on that team as well. And then finally on the research support, if you go to the help and services menu here and go down to publishing, you'll see that the library can really provide support from start to finish of that publication process. So if you are writing and you need help kind of managing or visualizing your data, that's the team that I just mentioned, the Research Data Services. If you need help kind of storing and using that data to cite, that's the citation management team. If you're working on that lit review, that's your subject librarian. So for education, that's me. I'm happy to work with anyone that needs help at that stage. We also have resources on choosing a publication venue, access to open access publishing agreements, which are available to Northeastern graduate students, staff, and faculty. So if you wanted to publish open access in a journal, we have many agreements that either make that process free or reduce the cost to make that open access. And you can click to the link of all the agreements we have here to find some relevant journals for your research. And then when you're getting ready to share and promote your work, if you want to share that through our digital repository to make it more open, those are all things that we can support you in. So just kind of wherever you are in that publication process, we are here to support. And then finally, just wanted to highlight a couple of ways that you can stay connected. So one is through our library events. You'll see some upcoming events here. The View Upcoming Library Events link gets you to the full calendar. We'll see fewer things as we head into summer, which is typically a quieter period. But if you want to filter just for the online or webinar events, you can do that here just to see what's available open completely online. If you are in the Boston area and wanted to pop in, you can, of course, kind of click any of the others. And if you're in the Oakland area and you want to see the FW Olin Library events, you can use that filter as well. You may or may not be aware, but we have a chat service that's available 24/7. So if you have a question in the middle of the night, whenever that is for your time zone, you can get help through the chat service. So you'll put in your name, email, and your question. The overnight hours are staffed by a collective of librarians from all around the country. They may not work at Northeastern, but if they can't answer your question, they tag that for the Northeastern team to follow up, and you'll get a response within one business day. So those overnight folks are most helpful at saying, like, do we have access to this particular thing? Or what could I use to find something for this particular research question? They can point you in that direction. If you're having trouble with a particular resource, like your login's not working or it's not functioning the way that you expected, they're probably not going to be able to help with that as much. They can't log into our resources, but they can certainly create a ticket and we'll be able to follow up with you as soon as we sign in the next business day. And then because we have folks kind of at all different stages in their graduate careers, I did want to highlight information about alumni resources. So if you go to Help and Services and choose I am alumni, you'll see that you can continue to use your student account. It becomes your alumni login. And you can see the online resources that are available to you as alums. It's not our entire collection. We do try to make alumni access available whenever we're trying to do a license with a database vendor, but some of them will not permit it. So we have it available whenever possible, and we're always trying to advocate for that, but you can just get a sense of what's available to you as an alum. And if, again, you are in the Boston or Oakland areas and want to potentially visit the library in person, you'll also find information on this page about what your library access looks like in Boston or Oakland, as well as some other resources that are available to you through places like ITS. But that is just kind of a quick summary of some things that you may or may not have known about and some things that are maybe less research oriented, a little more fun. And I'm happy to take any questions that you all have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lindley. I really appreciate that. And it's so awesome, some of the things that you mentioned, like revisiting Zotero for that, the citation management tool and the data visualization specialist, because we just did some events about these two things. And I did put them in our chat for anyone who wants to revisit those recorded events that we did around that. So that way, when you go into these appointments with like a librarian or with their data visualization specialist, you'll be really informed and ready. So that was so awesome that you shared that.
Glad
But
that was timely.
totally. Any questions for Lindley though while we're here and unmuted? Anyone? I'm just checking the chat too in case I missed any. Let's see. Awesome. Felipa says that this is very helpful. So many resources that we didn't realize we had. And Lindley did just drop the resources handout for anyone who wants to download that to their browser. or their device rather. All right, last call for questions.
I don't have a question, but I do want to say that you mentioning Libby was really cool, only because like I teach literature, and so like some of the texts or all the texts I teach are really just old and stuff like that, and I don't want them to spend so much money, you know, purchasing the books and going to Barnes and Noble or whatever. And
Yeah.
I just tell them like just go to Libby, like try to get on the wait list or whatever it is. Maybe it's Dracula or The Woman in White or something like that. But usually they find really great success and they can just like read it on their phone or their tablet. It's wonderful. But Libby is really great.
Yeah, I'm a big Libby fan. I think I have like three different libraries signed in on my phone.
Any other comments or questions for Lindley? All right. Well, you know where to find her as well in case you want to make an appointment or reach out to her via email. And thank you, Lindley, so much for being here for the first half of this presentation tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks all. Have a great night.
Yes, thank you. All right, everyone. We're going to jump into the second half of our event tonight that will be courtesy of me and Jen Miller. And Jen, while I get our presentation up, I know we did some e-board introductions earlier, but you want to introduce yourself a little bit while I get that set up?
You got it. Sorry, I got my cat here that's demanding attention over here. So if you see a little few bumps, it's her. So hi guys, I'm Jen Miller. Hi William. Hi everybody. So I'm the VP of gsera. I'm in integrative studies. I am graduating hopefully, if all goes well, alongside Taylor. And yeah, in addition to being a student, I'm also a stay-at-home mom for two special needs and very special kiddos. Lots of background in education, ed tech, higher ed, middle school, high school, you name it, social emotional learning. So I'm really passionate about providing access to students and making sure that our community gets all the tools and tips and tricks that they need, including all the discounts. So yeah, why don't we take it away, Tay?
Love it. Yes. Jen is like bionic mom. I don't know how you do it. So shout out to all the caregivers out there because between EDD program and that, like, God bless you all. Seriously, you guys are iconic. So without further ado, speaking of discounts, let's dive into the Husky Card services that we have at Northeastern. So we are a remote asynchronous program. However, believe it or not, just like undergrad, we have an NUID, believe it or not. So with that NUID comes with, a unique number and it functions as your student ID, even as a doctoral student. So one thing I want to note is that there is an office dedicated to those services, and it's called Husky Card Services. They have physical locations not only on the East Coast on the Boston campus, which is noted on here on the screen, but also on the Oakland campus for those of you who are operating on the West Coast. So I do have those locations here. I highly, highly, highly recommend for anyone coming to our Boston residency in July to definitely check them out. I work at Northeastern, so if anyone wants to find me, I'll be in a red blazer probably of some kind. I'm happy to walk you over there. Jen will also be there. All of us in the GSera gang will be there in Boston this summer, so we're happy to take a big stroll right over there if anyone wants to go grab theirs. And the main reason why you definitely want to get that physical card is because when you're out shopping, out and about, regardless of where home is for you, you can show that to get discounts that you probably didn't even realize that you could get. So again, while it is an identification card to show that you are a Northeastern student, it's a great way for you, not only as a current student, as an active student in the EDD program, but also even as an alumni, kind of like what Lindley was mentioning, to continue to get those discounts and to get those perks. So just as kind of like rule of thumb here, it's great to have this always on hand for when you're out shopping and out and about. So that's a little bit about the Husky Card Services and their team. And again, if you have any questions about any access to like the physical campuses at Northeastern and what that means with getting a Husky card, you can certainly reach out to them if you are in close proximity to them or if you happen to go to a residency around those areas. So now we're going to hop over to the next slide here. In addition to, having that physical card and it, just showing it in shopping centers or whatever the case may be, you also are given a printing allowance, whether you knew this or not. And that's all a part of, what you pay for to be in this program. And so all active Northeastern students, as well as those who might be working at Northeastern, you get an $120 printing allowance. That's an equivalent of 1,200 pages, guys. So listen, if you want to go print your dissertation when all this is said and done, just know that you can, especially if you're at residency or what have you. So just as a heads up, and in order for you to check out that amount throughout the course of your year, all you have to do is go to your student hub, which I have a screenshot of on the left. You go under the miscellaneous, that very last circle there when you hit resources on there. And under the miscellaneous links, it's all alphabetized. And you're going to go to where it says paper cut printing. And you'll see here on the bottom right of my screen that you'll see once you log in with your credentials, you'll be able to see your graduate student printing allowance, which is again $120, just so you know. The printing year is based upon the current academic calendar, which is from the fall term through the end of the summer or second half of the term. So in this case, again, we're semesterizing as fall 26, so that would run from fall 26 through the summer. There's no rollover funds or no refunding for anything that's unused, so we highly encourage you to utilize this. So, for example, I know some of us are more like ebook people or like online article people, and we use our iPads, kind of like Chris and I as iPad kids to annotate our articles and things like that. But if you're one of those people who loves to rock out with like the printed articles, highlight them, really have them in hand, take advantage when you're on the Boston campus this summer, when you're at the residency, using this printing allowance and print some out. That way you have some summer reading right offhand and you're already kind of invested into it, so why not use it? So just as a heads up for that, there's printers all throughout campus, just so you all know, not just in the library. So again, Lindley's a great resource if you want to reach out to her about the locations of those printing services. And I'm, again, as a Northeastern employee, I'm also happy to, direct you to where those are if you happen to be joining us at the Boston residency this summer. Any questions so far? All right. And of course, we'll have more time for questions too as we move forward. And now, without further ado, because Jen and I, we both love saving money wherever we can, because, the economy's a little crazy out here. So I'm going to pass it on to Jen, because I know that she's definitely diving into some of these discounts here.
Thank you so much, Taylor. So just to also add a point on the printing, even if you don't get to eventually print it, because it's per academic year, perhaps you're a little bit earlier on in the program. What I would suggest is thinking about what are some core research studies that maybe you don't want to print at home. They might be, 50 something pages, 30 something pages. Save the money, see if you can print it on campus. Like for me, it's the pro-social classroom, which is pivotal to my study. Really thinking about which ones that you would like to have on hand is also a really important consideration. And then definitely using those pages to print out your dissertation, especially for manuscript, right? You never know. And also remember, November is NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. So you should also use it for that as well to get into the creative arts. Have to like cheer that on. So without further ado, let's jump into the verification of being a college student. I want everybody to really think about you guys are paying, let's just call it what it is. We are paying a lot of money to be in this program. We are paying thousands of dollars. Some of us are taking out loans if we can, some of us cannot, and we're paying, directly out of pocket, and the bank is going down, right? The bank amount is going down. I want you guys to think about and always feel empowered to ask. And even though it might feel uncomfortable and you might get, that validating question of, are you a student? I would like to see your student ID and or have your email. You're going to have those questions, but honestly, the amount of money that you can save and stack over the time, like, come on, 15% on 50% on 30%, like it's going to pay eventually, right? It's going to pay in some way. Now, I want you guys to get into the habit, and I'm going to reaffirm this at the end of this. Asking wherever you go, restaurants, apps, technology, food services, museums. I'm originally from New York City, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in terms of educational opportunities. Always, always, always ask, do you happen to offer student discounts, right? We know that the bank offers different accounts where they will not charge you interest, right? But let's dive into what we have on this list so far. So entertainment, Spotify, you can get different accounts. Now, every account is not made equal. It is a student account. So if, like, for example, Spotify or Apple Music might only offer pieces of the whole package, but if you were not sure you wanted to dive into that app anyway, you might as well save the percentage and get the student discount just to try it out. I think that would be a smart move. And then you could always contact the app or customer service and say, hey, I really would like the full version. But really comparing like student version from full version, yes, it's a little bit of work, but it saves you money if you weren't sure about paying. For example, I think Spotify is like $22 a month now, $24. It just keeps rising. So I want you guys to really feel empowered to ask that question, right? And investigate those things because again, dollars, you might as well take a few dollars, get yourself a cup of coffee, right? Or save it, put in your savings. Now, Apple Music does have this. Amazon Prime, they do have a student account. I actually ran on this as long as I could when I was in my bachelor's. It existed even back then. And you did get really discounted Prime. It was just like everybody else's. You also got access to other apps. Now, I want you guys to really understand that student discounts can change and student, access can change at the flip of a hat, right? But it's really important to investigate and really leverage that student ID, that student email to save as much money as you can because again, you're pouring it into this program, right? You're pouring it into yourself and into your education. But maybe if you want to treat yourself to something, right? Like a movie at the AMC theater. Okay. Now, when it comes to technology, I know that Northeastern runs typically on Microsoft Suite, and it's important to know that because you can get discounts at Microsoft, labeled stores. Now, also when it comes to like Dell and Apple products and HP, Adobe, Samsung, Verizon, it's really important to also look at that as we are professionals. Sometimes our professional jobs can offer greater discounts than the student one. So you want to ask both questions. Hey, for example, I might work for New York City DOE, right? New York City DOE will have a discount with a couple of technology centers because they have a deal, right? I'm going to, though, compare it to my student discount and say, because you guys know how it goes, they're not going to stack, right? Unfortunately, sometimes if you're extra nice or a little extra ragey like me, they might stack them just to get you to go away, right? But here's the thing. You want to compare it so you can get the best discount possible. Okay. So really leverage your professional company, whether you work for Apple, whether you work for McGraw-Hill, whether you work for Northeastern, you might be able to get a bigger deal being an employee rather than being a student. But if let's say your company is a startup and it doesn't have any of these, details, then you want to really ask the question, what's going to be the better discount? Do you have one for students? Do you have one for the company? Now, Fizz didn't know this, but according to websites that we perused, DoorDash offers a student discount, Uber Eats offers a student discount, which it makes sense, right? Because they're also kind of catering to dorm students. But again, they don't look at that. They look at the student ID and the student email. So really look at that. And also when it comes to certain restaurants, they do offer student discounts. So also ask about that. Educational opportunities. Now, Museum of Fine Arts, in terms of Boston, Isabella Stewart Gardner, I've never been there. I want to go. Taylor, we got to go, right? You got to show me. I love my stuff.
It's
But in
so
New
good,
York
guys.
City,
It's beautiful.
oh, yes, let's go, definitely. In New York City, because being that I grew up there, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I'm going to give you like the New York City trick, right? Here's the thing. You go to New York City, okay? There is a place called the Cloisters in New York City. It is a castle, a medieval castle slash museum. So if you love your medieval art, it is a Fort Tryon Park. I don't remember how to pronounce it, so double check me. Bad New Yorker here. Um, Go there in the morning, buy one ticket, apply the student discount. You can go to the Met in the afternoon, and you only have to pay for one ticket. Okay, because they're going hand in hand and it's a beautiful look. I just gave you a little tour guide. There you go. So when it comes down to it, museums in New York City also honor state IDs. They also honor student IDs. And sometimes I remember back in the day when I went to the Met, I just showed them my student ID. I didn't have to pay. I just walked right in. I think I gave them like it was by donation. I think I gave them like $1 because I was a master's student trying to pay, right? We all know that story. So really asking the question whenever you go into an educational facility, whether it's a zoo, whether it's a museum, whether it's just some kind of event or conference, ask if they have a student discount, ask if they have a professional discount, right? So always, always, always ask and watch the money stack, or rather, you can allocate those monies to other fun things too. Now, transportation, Amtrak, MBTA. I would also look at MTA if you're in New York City. I think there's going to be some shifts with that if there haven't been already, or maybe shifts in the other direction. I don't know. But always, I want you guys to get into the mindset. If Taylor, if you can go to the next slide. Always, always, always get into the mindset of if they have a student discount. I understand that sometimes it feels awkward. I understand you're going to go through a validation period, but wouldn't you rather save it might be a few dollars, right? 10% on a $300 item, right? Okay. Need I say more? Also, if you're in the Massachusetts area, didn't know this, um, Loft, like Rent Them Outlets, Loft gives a student discount. J. Crew gives a student discount. Wilson Leather. So if you want a new snazzy leather jacket, you can go get a new leather jacket with a student discount. Okay. So even if it feels awkward, please ask. Okay. Many places offer that because they recognize that students do pay a lot of money, and I want everybody to save as many dollars as they can. Now, also to go back to certain things where LinkedIn Learning does offer a student discount, but you don't need to use your student discount because you get that for free as a Northeastern student. If you don't know how to use that or you don't know how to get that, there's explicit direction. Go online and search Northeastern LinkedIn Learning, and you're going to find newsletters from ITS that are going to explain everything. You get Headspace, all right, as well. That's included in your tuition. If you have trouble with that, then, reach out to me, reach out to them. Wyzant Tutoring. Now, Wyzant Tutoring, you get a certain number of hours per quarter, or rather per semester now, right? And I think it's about 12 hours. You have a whole list of classes. You're not limited to the classes that you are taking. They're not going to cross-check you, okay? But look at it this way. Many students use Wyzant tutoring in order to have their dissertation reviewed. I would really talk to your chair before you do that, okay? So you can save the money instead of paying somebody for a dissertation. That's what typically historically students have recommended, or have used it for. I don't want to stop it there because basically you're saying you're going to save all your hours. That's not how it works. You have 12 hours per semester that you get. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's gone. It's already included in your tuition. It's not something you should be paying for out of pocket. And if you need help, like for example, I would like to really learn, I took a data class. I would love to relearn SPSS and learn some quantitative because we're a qualitative program. They are going to start shifting into quantitative. You want to get a head start? You can get a tutor in statistics. You can get a tutor in SPSS. You can get a tutor in the quantitative realm. And yes, you can move on to another tutor. So there's plenty of them. They're not like you hire who you want to hire. You don't hire who you don't like, right? Or you don't feel comfortable with. And if you don't like the person, you could switch. You're not going to be beholden to using all those 12 hours with one person. They are as you see fit. And hey, if you wanted to learn another language, like I used it for a while to learn Spanish. Okay. So, but my big thing here is that being a college student is not just about leveraging the education, leveraging the talent, the professors, right? Like Jacera dad in here. Hey, Andy. Um, it's really important to leverage, okay, leverage that that you are a college student and that you can get discounts and save some money while you're already shelling out a lot of money. Okay. So when it comes to that, again, you get LinkedIn Learning for free, rather through Northeastern. When you graduate, it shuts off. So you really want to use it. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you can get something with alumni rights. I don't know. But I know Wyzant you have access to now. Why not use it? You lose the hours if you don't use it. LinkedIn Learning, and a couple of other resources such as like the ebook system. We have several things listed in our newsletter. So when the next newsletter comes out, you'll see those links as well, as they are always in there. And as soon as something else pops up in terms of a service, it goes in there. And don't forget, Canvas has a career design, like from Career Services, that's also free. So you don't need to hire a career consultant. You can also leverage the job consultants that are actually in the Career Services Center. Yes, some of them might be a little, they might not be where you are in terms of your talent. You might have to be the expert in the room in terms of where your trajectory of career is, right? Especially if you are in a leadership role, VP, what have you. Okay. They can advise to a certain level. However, they can give you great feedback on your resume. They also have an AI expert in there, I believe. So, like, really thinking about how you can leverage and save as much money as possible while also making sure you make the most as a student out of all the services offered as a college student while you're at Northeastern, including our mentorship program. So, just going to put a little plug in there. But yeah, I will stop ranting. Do you guys have any questions? Anything at all? All right, I'm always here. So we'll have that Q&A section. Do you want me to go over this slide, Taylor?
Yeah, unless you had anything else to add, because I know you started talking about how there's also plenty of other avenues for getting student discounts, and Jen and I kind of did a broader search for all of you. That way you didn't have to go looking yourself. But Jen, anything else to add besides this? And we'll send this out to everyone via email so you have access to.
Absolutely. So there's two links at the bottom here, UniDays and Sheer ID. Sheer ID is used as a system to cross-check whether you are a current student of a school or not. Okay. It is sometimes wonky. Some stores use it. Like I think it was J. Crew that used it back in the day when I tried to register my student ID. UniDays is kind of like this. I don't want to call it a shopping center. You need to make an account. I'm always concerned about security of information, so I'm not going to recommend that. I'm going to say, hey, look, this is an option, and it will show you all the different discounts that you could possibly get as a college student, what's there. But remember, like a job that you see on LinkedIn that, might be there, but is not really accepting applications, the same thing applies with student discounts. So you really want to go to those websites and really confirm. However, something that you should know is that UniDays is constantly mentioned. And also Sheer ID is a system that's constantly used for validation for student IDs. So just pay attention to that. What I would strongly advise is maybe on your phone taking a picture of your student ID. Some stores will accept that, right? But always try to keep it in your wallet so then that way you can leverage that discount. Okay. And then Taylor, do you want to go over the other websites or do you want me to keep ranting?
I have nothing too much else to add besides, that while all of these are just ones that, are the top ones that me and Jen had sought out in our general research, because, we're students too, and we're looking to save as much money as possible. There are plenty others out there. And like Jen was saying before, like the answer is going to be no if you don't ask, right? So you might as well ask, no matter where it is that you call home. So, but anything else to add, Jen, before I move on to wrapping this up?
Of course, it's like the high school dance, right? You're going to get the no to yourself if you don't ask, right? So thinking about asking, it might be vulnerable. You might get the no, you might get a look. But I mean, I wanted a new jacket and I was like, "Do you offer a student discount?" It's a quite expensive jacket, and turns out they offered me a 30% discount. I was able to go buy something else. So really ask, think about it. Yeah, Philippa. Yeah, she knows where it's at. So make sure you look at these websites. They do have several different things, but the key thing here is that some stores, especially stores that are privately owned that are not chains, they might offer a discount as well, and they are not listed here. Okay, but to support college students, they will honor that. Okay, so really look at these websites, check it out, ask the question. And again, like the high school dance, if you don't ask, you're already saying no to yourself, right?
Love it. Thanks so much, Jen. Any questions before we provide a little sneak preview of our other spring Jacera events? And this could be about anything we've discussed tonight. Going once, going twice. Awesome. All right, great. And again, I just want to resurface again, there are physical spots on the Boston Oakland campus if you have other questions about how to use your Husky card as a Northeastern student. So, a little sneak preview, and you will be getting these in the form of our newsletter, which will be going out soon. But if you want to take out your phone or do a quick screen grab, you're more than welcome to do so. And to plug these on your calendar if you want to ahead of those invites going out already. But to go through a few, as you know, kind of like how this event was, the April, event, we're going to be doing one a month. So starting with strength through self-care. I feel like this is going to be a big one because we all need to take care of ourselves to make it through this program. So this will be sustaining your well-being as a scholar practitioner. This is going to be our May event at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, so the same time as tonight, and 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. And of course, it'll be on Zoom, and you will get the link sent to your email and through our newsletter. We're planning to have representatives from the Center for Spirituality and Dialogue at Northeastern. We're hoping to have a little meditative moment as well. So if you need to decompress that evening, we can. And hoping to have some other campus partners that can help us to know how to take care of ourselves so we can present our best selves in this program. For our June event, we're going to do a little collab with academic advising for the ED program because we all know semesterization is around the corner, people, and we're trying to set ourselves up for success. So with that in mind, same goals, new timeline, navigating the semesterization shift will be coming at you live on June 9th. Again, same time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. The Zoom will be sent to you. And as a reminder again, if neither of those times or days work for you, rest assured they will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube. So that is the great thing. We are all about access here. And then last but most certainly not least, to help us to continue to build community, but also to sharpen our skills together and not traverse this path to the EDD alone. We have our spring quarter power hours. For anyone who is not familiar with our power hours, it's basically a once a month opportunity for all of us to come together. It doesn't matter what class you're in, what stage you're at in the program, everyone is welcome to come for this hour. The first half hour, we discuss what our goals are in terms of what coursework we're getting done. Maybe it's that discussion board post. Maybe it's, your monthly paper you need to do. Maybe it's dissertation writing or your lit review writing. Whatever it is, we kind of help ourselves to hold each other accountable. We set that goal together. We shut off our cameras and audio and we get right to the first half hour. Then we take a 10-minute break, whether that be just coming off of Zoom for a little bit or just and again, community building and mingling for that 10-minute break. And then we do the second half where we can get the next half of our work done. So I really appreciated having this, this once a month opportunity to see new people, to, help each other and motivate one another. And again, that is once a month. So those dates will be noted in our newsletter and in the email. It is at a little bit later of a time because we want to be mindful of those on the different coasts and the different time zones. That way it is a little bit after the work hours. So we apologize in advance if it's a little bit later in the evening for some of you. But again, also feel empowered to start your own power hour community as well. If you and a group of friends, you found your people here in the EDD program, you want to start your own little power hour sesh, like by all means go for it. But rest assured, GESARA has one too if you want to join the whole crew. So that's all we've got in terms of this evening's little sneak preview of what's to come this spring. This is our last spring quarter, guys, and before the spring semester, which is kind of wild. So let's make it a great one. And of course, if you need any advocacy, any questions, any access to anything, you know where to find us. So have a great rest of your day, evening, night, wherever you're coming at us live from. And we can't wait to kick off the spring with all of you.